Rani Preeti.
Who is the patient? Who is the applicant?
The council seeks permission to state the facts of this application.
Hello.
Your Honor, the present application is an application filed for declaration.
Somewhat loudly.
Your Honor, the present application is an application for declaration that has been filed by our client, Miss Rani, that she should be declared to be the adoptive mother of Miss Sarupi and her husband be declared as the adoptive father. Your Honor, the facts of this case are that Mr. Sundar was married to Miss Preeti for a period of 7 years and they lived together. And Mr. Sundar worked in a government office in Jalandhar and he used to return late at home. So during this time, Miss Preeti developed illicit relations with a boy named Kitty. And their daughter, who is Miss Sarupi, she used to observe her mother's behavior on various occasions with this Kitty, and one day she narrated the entire incidents to her father, due to which an issue arose between Mr. Sundar and Miss Preeti, due to which they started living separately. And later on, they filed a petition for divorce by mutual consent under Section 13B of Hindu Marriage Act 1955, and the court granted them divorce by mutual consent, and it was written in the decree that the custody of the child, that is Sarupi, will be with Mr. Sundar, and Miss Preeti did not even demand any visitation rights. Later on, Mr. Sundar got married to Miss Rani, who had deep love and affection for Miss Sarupi and who treated her like her own child. Now, Miss Rani, to give legitimacy to her relationship with Sarupi, wanted to adopt Sarupi. And Miss Preeti also agreed to this adoption, and an adoption deed was written where it was said that Miss Preeti gives the daughter Miss Sarupi to Mrs. Rani, that is wife of Mr. Sundar. And Mr. Sundar also consented to this adoption deed and he had no objection. Now this consent of Mr. Sundar was a dual consent. One was as the biological father of Preeti and other was as the husband of Mrs. Rani, where it is needed that he needs to consent to that adoption. Now the ceremony of giving and taking was performed in front of 100 people, and where the giving and taking ceremony took place, and Miss Sarupi was given by Miss Preeti to Mrs. Rani. Now this declaration is sought, Your Honor, because the adoption deed was also registered and it was perfectly according to the provisions of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Now Mrs. Rani wants to be declared as the adoptive mother and she wants her husband to be declared as the adoptive father, and this is the basic case of the plaintiffs, Your Honor.
Who are from the respondent side?
So we are appearing from the respondent side. The council seeks permission to begin with the facts of the case.
Allowed.
So in this case, there is a boy named Sundar. He has married a girl, Preeti, and from this wedlock, a daughter is born, baby Sarupi. The marriage is continuous for 7 years. Thereafter, Sundar, who is working in a government office, he used to return home late. During his absence, his wife developed illicit relationship with a boy named Kitty. The daughter, that is baby Sarupi, she used to view the behavior of her mother, and one day she narrated the entire story to her father. Thereafter, a dispute arose between husband and wife, that is Sundar and Preeti, and they filed a petition for divorce under Section 13B of Hindu Marriage Act, that is divorce by mutual consent. The petition was allowed and the decree of divorce was passed. In the decree, the mother did not demand the
This
custody.
is all the facts. What are the contention do you have?
Sir, from the respondent side, from the general public, the father, that is father of the Preeti, that is the maternal grandfather of the baby Sarupi, has appeared and he has filed objection regarding the validity of the adoption deed.
Yes, you.
Sir, as my co-counsel has already narrated the facts of the case, I just want to throw light upon the valid requisites of valid adoption, so that I could be able to prove that the adoption was very much valid and according to the provisions of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Sir, Section 6 contains the requisite of valid adoption.
Section 601.
Of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act contains the requisite of valid adoption. So, firstly, the person adopting has the capacity and the right to take an adoption. Sir, here, as
per Section 8 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, any female Hindu who is of sound mind and is not minor can take a child in adoption. And where a female is married and is having a husband alive, then she will have to take the consent of his husband. Sir, from the facts of the case, my client has already taken the consent of her husband, and the husband had no objection to give that child in adoption. Sir, second valid requisite for the valid adoption is that the person giving in adoption must have the capacity to give that child in adoption. Here also, under Section 9, the capability of person has been provided who can give the child in adoption. So, any father or mother or the guardian can give the child in adoption. Where the father and mother both are alive, then they will have the equal right to give the child in adoption. And here, both of them, both Sarupi's mother and her father, both have used their equal rights and mutually given that child Sarupi in adoption to the latter wife Rani. So third valid requisite is that the person adopted is capable of being taken into the adoption. So from the very facts of the case, it is clear that the child was duly capable of being given into adoption, as she was not of 15 years of age also, and other valid conditions are also fulfilled, which are mentioned under Section 10. Sir, fourthly, under Section 6, under the requisites of valid adoption, it is mentioned that all of the conditions which are mentioned under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act must be fulfilled. So, sir, under Section 11, Clause 6, it has been mentioned that the ceremony, the child must be actually given and taken into adoption. So, my client, the ceremony was held between 100 persons, in which the giving and taking ceremony was held, in which the child was given in adoption to Rani, and she took the child in adoption. So, moreover, this ceremony, which is the essential condition of valid adoption under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, was fulfilled. But our client has also registered the deed also. Got the deed registered. Sarupi's mother has got that deed registered, under which the consent of the father was given that that this child be given in adoption.
So, I would like to argue this case on the very basics. My learned friend has not argued that they have filed an application for the declaration. However, such an application does not lie under any of the provision. My co-counsel will take up the arguments for this issue.
Counsel seeks permission to proceed. So, in this suit, the first issue is whether for such application for the declaration, suit should have been filed, or application will serve the purpose. The applicant filed the application for the declaration. First of all, I would like to throw some light on the jurisdiction of the family code. Order 32A CPC deals with the suit relating to the matter concerning family, and in the Rule 1, Sub-Rule 2 of Order 32A CPC, from Clause A to G, there are all suits and proceedings which are deals with the matter concerning family. Clause A deals with the suits and proceedings for matrimonial relief for the validity of the marriage and for nullity of the marriage. And Clause B deals with the suits and declaration for legitimacy of a children. And Clause C deal with the suits and proceeding relating to the guardianship and custody of the child. And D deals with the suits for the maintenance, and E deal with the suits and proceeding for the validity of adoption. And Clause F deal with the suit filed by the family members for the wills, intestacy and succession, and G deals with the other matters relating to the family. The Parliament has already passed Family Code Act 1984, in which it has provided that under Order 32A, from Clause A to D and Clause G, the Family Court have jurisdiction to try all these suits from A to D and also G. But Family Code does not have jurisdiction to try for the clause E and F, that is adoption, wills and intestacy and succession. Therefore, I would like to say, sir, Family Code is having no jurisdiction for the matter of adoption. So, application should be rejected, and also under Article 57 and 58 of the Limitation Act, suit for the declaration can be filed. There is no provision in Limitation Act in which application for any kind of declaration can be filed. Therefore, suit should have been filed and application will not serve the purpose.
What is your argument on this position?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, the counsels would like to apologize for the confusion created because this application was filed by the previous counsel of our clients who have now left the case, and it is a humble request of the present counsel that this application be treated as a suit in order to save the time and expenses of the court, and the requisite court fees regarding the declaration for suit has been already paid. And it is a humble request that the counsel may please be excused for filing the application and this be treated as a suit.
Sir, I would like to object.
Yes.
Sir, under Section 7 of Family Courts Act, the Family Court is not given any jurisdiction to deal with the subject matter of adoption. So, if a court that is having no subject matter jurisdiction treats a case that is outside its jurisdiction and gives a decree, that decree is supposed to be nullity as per the established law. So the court should dismiss the application and should not give any relief on it because it is outside the very jurisdiction of the court. And secondly, under Section 34 of Specific Relief Act, a suit is to be filed before the Civil Judge Senior Division who is competent to give such relief. Therefore, the Family Court, as having no jurisdiction, should dismiss this application.
Your Honor, I would like to give a reply to this. Your Honor, according to the Family Courts Act 1984, according to Section 7, which talks about jurisdiction, in the explanation in Clause E, it is stated that a suit or proceeding for a declaration as to the legitimacy of any person will be included in the matters of a family court. Your Honor, here the declaration is sought that the mother be declared as the adoptive mother, which will create a legitimacy on Sarupi, the legitimacy between Mrs. Rani and Miss Sarupi, which will give her the right, Miss Sarupi the right in Mrs. Rani's family, as after the once the adoption is made, then that adopted child is treated as a natural child as per Section 12 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Secondly, Your Honor, in this case, the suit of the plaintiff is very easy, that they want to seek a declaration. The validity of an adoption deed which has been challenged by the learned opposite counsel, that is outside the purview of the court because they cannot challenge the effect or validity of any adoption as per Rule 1, Clause 2, Sub-Rule 2, Clause E of Order 32A, and the objection that has been brought by the opposite counsel is out of bounds, but the declaration is not out of the jurisdiction of the court.
Sir, I would like to object.
Yes.
Sir, in this case, my learned counsel has stated that legitimacy of children can be brought within the purview of the jurisdiction of the family court. However, here the legitimacy of the child Sarupi is not in question, rather the adoption is in question, and the legislature has intentionally kept the clause relating to adoption out of the jurisdiction of the family court. So the learned counsel should not give twisted arguments and try to bring the suit within the jurisdiction, which is clearly has been kept outside of the jurisdiction of the family court by the legislature.
Your Honor,
You can me tell the provisions under which the declaration has been done. Can you tell me that?
the declaration has been filed under Section 7 of the Family Courts Act, that is jurisdiction, explanation E, that is suit or proceeding. So it also includes an application, but we are coming forward in a suit, and therefore that suit for a declaration as to the legitimacy of any person. Your Honor, here we have to keep a broad view of the section, because here we have to see that by declaration that Mrs. Rani is an adoptive mother of Miss Sarupi. We are giving some legitimacy to Sarupi in lieu of the legitimacy of Miss Sarupi that was given by Miss Preeti, where her own mother had abandoned her and has broken all the ties with her, if Mrs. Rani wants to give her the love and affection of a mother and to remove the tag of a Soteli Ma, which can have ill effects on their relationship and on the mental and mentally on the child and on Mrs. Rani. That is why she wants to file this declaration under the family codes. So as that the matter is not discussed in public, and it is, since it's a family matter, so there is no need to involve the public in this, and this will just create a ruckus outside. So that's why she wanted to approach the family.
What about the father?
What about the father, Your Honor?
How he can play this role?
So my co-counsel.
Yes, you, Mr.
Explain.
Your Honor, Rani, the applicant, is seeking this declaration by virtue of her marriage with her husband Sundar, as she has legally adopted Srupi, and as per Section 8 of Hindu Adoption and Marriage Act, she is competent to adopt. She is of sound mind, and she is nature, and because she has completed all the requirement of Section 8, and also the adoption deed is registered one, and legal, it is legal to adopt the child. So she is adopted mother of Srupi, and so because of this, her husband, that is Sundar, become adoptive father of, automatically become adoptive father of Srupi. So Your Honor, her biological father, that is Sundar, can be declared as adoptive father, and I want to bring in consideration of the court that it will not create any difference, as this declaration will not create any new right, and it will not infringe a right of any other person by declaring that, and it will be beneficial for the Srupi and Rani, as in future no one will raise any objection on her how she has adopted the child, because her husband will also be made adoptive father of this Srupi, and it will be beneficial for Srupi and Rani in future.
Yes.
Sir, firstly, I would like to rebut the arguments presented by my learned counsel. The counsel has said that since it is a family matter, the matter should be kept in camera and should be decided in the family code. However, under section 153B of the CPC, even in the civil code, such proceedings can be done in camera, and there is no reason why the family code should be involved where it has no jurisdiction. Secondly, I would like to invite my co-counsel to enlighten the court about the proper provisions wherein such a declaration can be sought.
Council seeks permission to
Hello.
proceed. So, Your Honor, I want to throw some light on the issue number 2, which is about the declaration, under which provisions this declaration can be granted. So, as our opponent counsel says that the declaration is should be granted by the application which is filed by the stepmother.
Yes.
Under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. So there is no any provision, we can say that no any provision about the application under which file through which court can give a declaration about the adoption. Only the suit can be filed. Our Honorable High Court and Supreme Court gave so many judgments on behalf of this declaration.
Yes, you have to
Yes, sir. Kumar Bhagat Prasad versus Murari Lal on 22nd July 1910. Under this judgment, court gave the declaration through the suit, but not it is not based on any application. So it is clear from this point and provisions also that no any declaration application can be filed. Only the suit can be filed on the declaration. And also one provision is there under section 34 of Specific Relief Act, which is defining about the declaration only. So I want to go through the wording of the section 34 of SRA. Any person entitled to any legal character or any right as to any property may institute a suit against the person denying or interested to deny his such title,
character or right and court having the discretion about such declaration. So the thing is that the opponent's counsel have to they had to file the suit if they want some declaration on the basis of legal character, as their Sarupi's father, biological father Sundar, and her stepmother, whose name is Rani, they are here. They are seeking some declaration from the court as legal character, as adoptive father and mother. So they had to file some suit into the court, not based on the application for declaration of such adoption.
Your Honor, as we have already stated on record, that it is a humble request of the counsel on behalf of the plaintiffs that this application be treated as a suit, because by withdrawing this application and then filing a suit, it will just waste the time of the court. And in order to preserve the time of the court, this request was made that this application be treated as a suit. We have filed the requisite court fees, and we have done all the essentials of a suit that has to be fulfilled. And just because of the word application, this declaration cannot be rejected, because, Your Honor, this is not a very simple case, because it involves a child, and it involves the relationship of a mother and a child, be that relationship of an adoptive mother and adoptive child. But still, in order to complete this proceedings fast, that is why it was a humble request of the council that this application be treated as a suit.
Whether the proceedings for the adoption was correct according to you?
Yes, Your Honor. It was.
Do you have any objections regarding?
Yes. Sir, I would like to object the validity of the adoption. I would like to discuss the provision of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act as well as Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015 and challenge the adoption on the basis of both the acts. As far as the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act is concerned, there is no provision whereunder a step parent can adopt the child of his or her spouse from the earlier marriage. The Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act is silent about such a peculiar situation. It does not provide any provision that saves such an adoption. Secondly, there is no provision under the said act whereby a father can perform a dual role. The only provision is section 9 subsection 4, whereby a guardian can perform a dual role, that too with the permission of the court. But here in this case they have performed a private ceremony of adoption, so it is not saved even in relation to that section. It is further submitted that in the present case, it is quite clear from the facts and circumstances of the case that the mother does not care about the child. She wanted to break all links with the child. Even during the subsistence of her marriage, she was involved in illicit relationships. She does not care about the responsibility that is attached to the child. All she wants is to lead a life of her own and get rid of the child. The mother in such case cannot be said to be thinking about the welfare of the child. She has neglected the child from the very beginning. That is the reason that the child has narrated the entire story to her father about the affair of the mother. The mother, it is an admitted fact by the learned counsel that the mother wanted to break all the links with the child. So how an adoption deed that is made by such a mother can be considered valid and in the interest of the child? Your Honor, it is further submitted that under section 9 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, the consent of the mother or the father, as the case may be, is very necessary. The objective of the consent is that parents look into the best interest of the child. But in this case, the mother is indifferent to the child and so is the father. The father is working in government office and he does not have any time to look after the child. And the mother is all indifferent to the child.
But father gave his no objection and also gave his consent in that of the
Sir, but the father is not involved in the life of the child. We cannot say that the father is thinking about the welfare of the child. He is busy in his life and so is the mother. In Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, whenever such an adoption comes on record, the consent of both the parents is necessary so that both the parents can think together. But in this case, both the parents are indifferent towards the child and they do not think about the welfare of the child at all. So in this case, our client, that is the maternal grandfather, who is 67 years of age, he has no axe to grind in this case. He is an uninterested man who has come to the court to protect the interest of the minor child. Sir, it is important here to note that Section 12 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act does not sever the ties of the child from the parents alone after adoption, but from the whole biological family. So So the situation has compelled our client to come before the court so that the interest of the child can be protected amidst the remarriages of the parents. Sir, I would like to submit here that the Supreme Court in case ABC versus State and City of Delhi 2015 volume 10 Supreme Court cases page 1 and Shweta Gupta versus Rahul Keshav Jadhav Supreme Court 2017. Sir, in both the cases, the Supreme Court has emphasized upon the welfare of the minor regardless of the rights of the parents. Though under Section 9 of the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, the parents have a right to give the child in adoption, but that right is always subject to the welfare of the child and is subordinate to the welfare of the child. The parents cannot exercise this right regardless of the welfare of the child. So, I would like to submit in this case further that it is a fit case where the court should invoke its inherent jurisdiction under Section 151 of CPC and exercise its parents' pettized jurisdiction. Sir, it is important that the legislature has intentionally kept such a matter out of the purview of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, whereby private adoptions are allowed. Sir, the court need to consider that in such peculiar cases, different problems arise. If the adoption is allowed in private without any supervision by any competent authority. Sir, what will be the situation of the child if this marriage also breaks, and will the child be left at the option of parents to be dealt as chattel and pass hand by hand? Sir, it will not be proper to attach validity to such an adoption where the welfare of the child is not considered by either of the parents. The court should sit as the parent of the child and think about the welfare of the child. Sir, it is very essential to take into account the provisions of the Convention on Rights of Child to which India is a signatory. Article 3 of the Convention provides that in all actions concerning the children, all the authorities, including the courts of law, shall take into account the best interest of the child. Further, Article 21 provides that state parties that permit the system of adoption shall ensure that the best interest of the child shall be of paramount consideration and shall ensure that the adoption of the child is authorized only by competent authorities who determine, in accordance with applicable law and procedure and on the basis of all pertinent and reliable information, that the adoption is permissible in view of the child's status concerning parents, relatives, legal guardians, and that if required, the persons concerned have given their informed consent to the adoption on the basis of such counselling as may be necessary. So here the informed consent of the parents is missing, and also the adoption is not done by any competent authority. The learned counsel for the applicant has not disclosed what are the entitlements of the child, what are the properties that the child is holding. Where the father is indifferent, the mother is indifferent, it is very easy for a stepmother to persuade the child and develop a relation of love and affection without having real love and affection for the child. So it has compelled maternal grandfather, that is Rajkumar, to come before the court and object such an adoption. So keeping in view the peculiar situation in such cases, the legislature has made expressive provisions in adoption regulation under Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act, where a step parent is allowed to take in adoption the children of his or her spouse from the earlier marriage. Here, Regulation 4 and Regulation 52 are important, so I would like to cite that. So Regulation 4 provides which children are eligible for adoption. Clause C specifically provides that child or children of spouse from earlier marriage surrendered by the biological parent for adoption are eligible for adoption under this regulation. However, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act was silent about such children. Similarly, Section 52 prescribes the procedure for such adoptions. It provides that the couple, that is the step parent and one of the biological parents, shall register in Child Adoption Resource Information and Guidance System with the required documents. The consent of the biological parent and step parent adopting the child or children shall be provided as per the Schedule 20. Further, the biological parent and step parent shall file an application before family court or district court or city civil court, as the case may be, as per format given in Schedule 32. The applicant shall obtain a certified copy of the adoption order from the court concerned and furnish a copy of the same online to the authority through Child Adoption and Resource Information and Guidance System. It is submitted that the legislature has enacted these provisions keeping in view the convention, Article 44 of the Constitution of India, whereby the state endeavors to provide a uniform civil code and the welfare of the child. So the court should not sit and act in the letter of the law, but go to the spirit of the law. Where a matter involves the welfare of the child and is a family matter, the court should not go by the provisions only, but look behind the curtain and see what matter really is. So in this case, where both the parents are indifferent toward their own child, the court should not allow the adoption to be to proceed further and should direct the parties to go to a competent authority, so that the competent authority can look into the background and see that whether really such kind of adoption should be allowed or not.
Do you have any argument? on that?
Yes, sir. So I want to oppose the arguments of the opponent learning counsel and want to say that grandfather is coming to the court and wasting the time of the court and making mockery of the court. So she has raised two issues. First of all, that the adoption was not according to Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. So as I have already brought into light of the court that the requisites of valid adoption and the adoption was very much legal, and thereafter she said that the father cannot play the dual role. Here the father is not playing the dual role. He will remain the biological father only. It is for that latter wife Rani that she want to declare her husband to be the adoptive father in case any question arise in future that in what capacity she has become the adoptive mother, then she could have the valid proof that she is a wife of Sundar, and in capacity of a wife she has adopted Sarupi validly.
Yes, Ms.
Your
Ladies.
Honor,
Your Honor, there is no such any the condition or any provision under the HMA where a step parent can adopt a child from the biological spouse. So this provision is provided only under the Central Adoption and Resource Authority, which is defined by my co-counsel earlier.
Yes, so sir, I would like to say that under Hindu Marriage Act, there is no provision that here is where written that declaration can be maintainable by such application. Prior to 2010, female cannot adopt a child, but now from 31st August 2010, female can adopt a child, and here it is not written that she is stepmother. Legislature has not written here word stepmother, and it is clear that that the intention of legislature not to include the stepmother in the that she can be the person who can give the child in adoption. Also, sir, under old law, orphan and surrendering child are not included, but now under Hindu Adoption Maintenance Act 1956, under section 2, clause BB, any child legitimate, illegitimate who has been surrendered by both the father and mother, or whose parent is not known, is liable to given an adoption. This clause is added on 29 November 1962. Here also, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act is silent about the adoption of child, which is stepchild. Therefore, it shows intention of the legislature that stepchild not given into the adoption. My client, father of the Preeti, that is Rajkumar, is objection that such adoption cannot be valid. That is under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act and also Juvenile Justice Protection and Care of Children Act 2015. And now I would like to throw some light upon the provision of Juvenile Justice Act. Application filed in that act, but application can be filed by the biological parents plus step parents, but in the present suit application is filed only by the stepmother, not by the biological parents. Therefore, it is not liable under Juvenile Justice Act. Also, under section 56 subsection 3 of Juvenile Justice Act provided, here is written that nothing in this act shall apply to the adoption of the Hindu Maintenance and Adoption Act. Therefore, Juvenile Justice Act is not provided any provision for the adoption under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. In a case, Kuljit Kaur Mahal versus Santokh Singh, Punjab and Haryana High Court laid down that biological parents plus step parents can file adoption application under Schedule 32 in the concerned district court along with the consent of the biological parents plus step parents under Schedule 20 with the all document provided in the Schedule 6. Now, under the regulation of adoption regulation 2017, clause C of the regulation 4 provide that the child of the spouse from earlier marriage surrendered by the biological parents is liable to be adopted. Under regulation 52 prescribe the procedure that firstly they will have to register, couple will have to register in the child resource system and guidance system, and they after that the consent of biological and step parents also there, and thereafter they can file application in the court for the adoption in city civil court, in district court, or in any family court as the case may be. Therefore, this order certified copy of that order is applied in online in the child adoption resource system and guidance system. Applicant should obtain I would like to submit that legislature provides a mandatory procedure under Juvenile Justice Act in also in Adoption Regulation 2017, but they have not follow any procedure, and under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act there is no provision that for filing application for the declaration. Therefore, application should be dismissed. Also in Juvenile Justice Act there is a mandatory condition that spouse should have 2 years stable marital relations, but here under this case this condition was also not fulfilled. Therefore, application should be dismissed.
Sir, I would like to rebut the arguments presented by my learned counsel. Sir, the learned counsel has said that the maternal grandfather, that is our client Rajkumar, is trying to waste the time of the court. But I would like to bring into consideration of the court that Mr. Rajkumar is a man of 67 years old and he has no personal interest in this matter. It is only the love and affection for the child that has brought him before the court. A private adoption whereby the rights of the child, the welfare of the child is totally ignored should not be attached any sanctity by this court by giving a declaration. This application should be rejected by the court on this basis.
Your Honor, I have many points that I want to rebut of the opposite counsel. Starting with the first, we are not coming under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015 because, as already stated by them, any adoption that is made under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, there the Juvenile Justice Act will have no control over it, and Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act will prevail over the sections of Juvenile Justice Act, that is including the adoption regulations of 2017. Secondly, Your Honor, they stated that Mr. Sundar was indifferent towards his daughter and he just wanted to get rid of her. Your Honor, how can Mr. Sundar be indifferent to his daughter when during the divorce of Mr. Sundar and Miss Preeti, he took the child with him, he took the full custody of the child. If he was so indifferent, they would have rather given the child in adoption at that point of time. If he did not want the child, why would he still have her, and why would he let his wife, his second wife, that is Miss Rani, adopt her if he wanted to get rid of the child? Your Honor, secondly, as in the fact sheet, it is very clear from the fact sheet that Mr. Rajkumar wants that Miss Preeti be declared as a natural guardian, yet here the opposite counsel on behalf of Mr. Rajkumar are saying that Miss Preeti and Mr. Sundar both are indifferent towards their daughter and they are not looking after the welfare of the child. Your Honor, if Mr. Sundar did not want to look after the welfare of the child, why would he have still kept her in his second marriage when he had the option of starting from a new point of life, and he could have easily given her away in adoption earlier, or when the divorce proceeding was going on, when the custody was given to Mr. Sundar, why did not Mr. Rajkumar, that is father of Preeti, object that time and stated that he wants to take the custody in case neither of the parents want? Where was his love and affection at that time? And now when Mrs. Rani wants to adopt the child, give her all her love and affection, why are they creating a ruckus in that, and why are they not letting our client do that? Thirdly, Your Honor, as it was clearly stated by them that the Parliament had amended Section 8 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, in 2010, where if we look at the wording, it is written any female Hindu. This word stepmother is not excluded. No one is excluded from adopting anyone. Why are they trying to create a difference where the parliament itself has not created any difference and has opened it to a lot of interpretations, so that an adoption by a stepmother can also be validly made under the provisions of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act? Your Honor, first they are stating that according to Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act or according to Juvenile Justice Act. Your Honor, but we are coming under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. We have nothing to do with Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. Your Honor, further points will be dealt with by my co-counsel.
So, as the opponent counsel has told that the person cannot play the dual role as of the biological parent and the adoptive parent. So, thereafter they are saying that while filing the application, the father was not there with her later wife Rani to file the application. So, at one point of time they are saying that they cannot play the dual role. Then I want to rebut the argument that how can the father come while she has applied for the application? That application was only for her own security, not to make the biological father the adoptive father of that Sarupi, but for her own security in case in future any controversy arises regarding her own tag Swatelima, she could have the declaration that in the capacity of the wife she has adopted the child.
Your Honor, one more point, that the main objective of getting this declaration declared is that we want to give the legal recognition to Mrs. Rani as the adoptive mother of Sarupi. Your Honor, Rani wants her husband to be declared as the adoptive father because she wants to be secured from all angles, and so that later on in life no one can raise any finger on her relationship with Sarupi, because as I've already stated that the tag of Sauteli Ma can have ill effects on both Rani and Sarupi and on the relationship. Your Honor, furthermore, by seeking this declaration, it does not make any difference on Sundar's relationship with Sarupi. Rather, it makes all the difference to Rani, because by that declaration, she will get some rights in favor, Sarupi will get some rights with her, and as Sarupi's own biological mother, that is Preeti, has abandoned her, she never paid attention to her when she was at home. Secondly, she did not want any visitation rights for the child. Thirdly, she was very eager to give the child away in adoption. So, Your Honor, so it is very clear from the facts that out of the two, that is Preeti and Mrs. Rani, when Mrs. Rani had deep love and affection for Sarupi, and she was willing to, she took Sarupi in adoption as her own child, was because she wanted to give her the love of a mother that Sarupi never got from her own biological mother, Your Honor.
Sir, I would like to rebut the arguments presented by the learned counsel. Firstly, I have never said that the Sundar is indifferent to the child. It is that the Sundar is working in a government office and he does not have time to deal with his child and look into the welfare of the child. And the child is left with Rani only. Secondly, our client, that is Rajkumar, he's a 67-year-old man. He has no personal interest in this and he has come to the court for the welfare of the child. Our client has not demanded the custody of the child at the time of divorce decree because he is a 67-year-old man and it is not fit for him to raise a small child at this age. So he has given the custody to the father of the child, keeping in view the welfare of the child, where his own daughter did not care about the child.
Sundar take the adoption of Sarupi. That means this is showing that he has a love and affection for her.
Sorry, sir.
Sundar adopt that child. That
Sir,
means he has a love and affection for
Sundar
her.
is keeping the child. He is the biological father. He is keeping the child, but he does not have time to look into the welfare of the child. Sir, the learned counsel has not disclosed in the court what are the properties that the child is holding. That could also be the reason why they do not want to give away the child. Sir, it is important to consider here that Section 12 clearly laid out that the adoption does not break link with the family only, with the parents only, but the whole family. It is in this matter that the maternal grandfather does not want that the Sarupi should be separated from the biological tree of his co-partner. Secondly, the properties that vest in the child or that are vested in the child already go with the child when an adoption is made. So if Sundar and Rani had decided to give away the child, they would have also given away the property that the child is holding. So that could be the reason. And So in these situations, it is proper that the party should be directed to go to a proper competent authority that can supervise and look into all the matters. And sanctity should not be attached to such an adoption deed where nothing is disclosed and parties are dealing with the child as like a chattel.
Yes,
Your-
Mr. Harsh, what do you have any argument?
Sir, I want to object to the arguments of my learned counsel that the mother of the child, that is biological mother, has not consented to the adoption deed, as she has given the her daughter in adoption with her consent, and she has written a adoption deed in which she said that she want to break her all natural ties with her husband and also with her daughter, as she has already remarried, and so the adoptive mother, that is Rani, has adopted the child, and she has a natural love and affection for the child, and as Sarupi is already living with the Rani, and both have good connection, so it is good to give validity to that adoption deed and give her in adoption to the Rani.
Your Honor, I have one more point, that they are saying that maybe Sarupi has lots of property that Rani and Sundar want to take from her, and later on, then what is the guarantee that grandfather is not coming right now for the same property? There is nowhere which states he is a man of 67 years old as stated by them. Then he has the greed for that property, and then why is he objecting right now? Where was he when the divorce petition was being handled, and why didn't he at that time persuade his daughter to keep the child or to do anything? He did not make any attempts to meet the child once his daughter got married to someone else, and when Sundar and Rani got married, when the adoption took place, when the giving and taking ceremony was performed, he was not there. Then why is he coming here and wasting the time of the court by raising such baseless arguments?
Whether grandparent can take a property of
No, sir. So the maternal grandfather can in no case take the property of the child. So it cannot be said that the maternal grandfather is coming in the court with the interest to take the property of the child. But the adoptive mother can take so if the child dies in some cases. Secondly, in such peculiar situations where legislature has made specific provision in Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act, the party should go under that act to take the child in adoption. Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act is silent. Secondly, Section 56 of Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act provide that adoptions made under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act are saved and are not affected by Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. But this adoption cannot be said to be made under that act strictly because there is no such provision where such a adoption is saved.
Your Honor, if there is no if the Parliament is silent while framing Section 8 that any female Hindu, it is not creating a difference between stepmother, a widow, an unmarried woman, or a married woman, then why are they trying to create a confusion here and trying to confuse the court? It is very obvious from the facts that Mrs. Rani has very deep and love and affection for Miss Sarupi, and she just wants to give a legitimacy to Miss Sarupi, not legitimacy, she wants to get her relationship with Sarupi secured so that in future, in case something happens to Mrs. Rani, Miss Sarupi is not affected in any way, because it is possible that Miss Rani has lots of property and that she wants that in case she dies without making a will, Miss Sarupi gets the benefit of that property and she gets the love and affection of a real mother that she never got from her own biological mother, Your Honor.
Sir, I would like to object.
yes.
Sir, although the legislature has not made a difference and has considered any female, but the legislature has made specific provisions under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. And secondly, where such a situation arises before the court, where both the parents are indifferent towards the court, it is for the court to exercise its parents' patria jurisdiction and invoke its inherent power and look into the welfare of the court. It is not proper for the court to allow such an adoption to go behind the curtain.
Your Honor, first they say that Sundar is indifferent to Sarupi, then they later stated that Sundar is not indifferent to Sarupi, now they are again stating that Sundar is indifferent to Sarupi. Your Honor, they are just trying to confuse the court in their talks so that this declaration is not granted in favor of Ms. Rani. Your Honor, if the essentials of a valid adoption under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act are fulfilled, then why is there a need for our clients to go under Juvenile Justice Act? If this act is providing for such a scenario, though it is silent about it, but if it is not specifically barring that scenario, then why should we go under Juvenile Justice Act, where the procedure is much longer, and this will create a distance between Rani and Sundar or Miss Sarupi. But if under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, this act is applicable on our clients, on the child, and all the conditions as per section 6, section 8, section 9 are fulfilled, then why are they trying to confuse the
I
court?
would like to rebut the arguments presented by the learned counsel. So the council has stated that the parents of the child have a right to give and take the child in adoption. But as I have stated, and as it is established by the Supreme Court in various judgments, that the welfare of the child is always above the rights of the parents, and the rights of the parents is subordinate to the welfare of the child. Where the welfare of the child is not looked into by any of the parties, it is not proper for the court to allow the parties to give and take the child as they like, and the court should exercise its parents' patrial jurisdiction, and the court should ask the parties to go to a proper forum whereby the competent authority can supervise such an adoption, so that nothing against the welfare of the child is committed. The court should not allow such an adoption to go on whereby the parties are exercising their rights on their own. Secondly, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act has specifically mentioned that a 2-year stable marital relationship should be there for any kind of adoption. This is necessary in this case also. What if this marriage also breaks? Will the child be allowed to be dealt again and again in the like manner? Sir, it is not proper here for the court to attach sanctity to such an adoption deed.
Your Honor, I would like to rebut this by saying that yes, there is no guarantee that this marriage will not break. But looking at the present circumstances, even though Sundar stays late at office, but still Sarupi and Rani share a very good relationship, and maybe that is one of the reasons why Rani wants to be declared as the adoptive mother, as they have again and again stated that the welfare of the child is of paramount consideration. We also agree with this, Your Honor. That is why we are coming to this court, and we are praying that this declaration be decreed in our favor, because by declaring Rani to be Sarupi's adoptive mother, the court will promote the welfare of Sarupi, as now she will have the legal recognition that now even she has a mother, which the love of whose love she was deprived of for a very long time since her birth, because her natural mother did not care about her at all. And secondly, Your Honor, they are stating provisions of Juvenile Justice Act. Your Honor, we are not concerned with Juvenile Justice Act. We are not bringing the Juvenile Justice Act. We are not coming under the Juvenile Justice Act. Then why is there a need to have that 2-year stable marriage relationship? Your Honor, that is not a prerequisite as per the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act.
Sir,
Your Honor,
sir, in the fact itself, it is written that that father has objection for this adoption on the ground of that there is no provision in Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act as well as Juvenile Justice. That's why we are talking about Juvenile Justice Act and provision of that act. And as this stated that father is greedy and he want to grab the property of the child. Sir, in this case, paternal grandfather is not demanding the custody of the child. He just want that her daughter
Maybe
Preeti
after
remain.
that he wants custody of that child.
No, sir. If you want to demand the custody, then he can ask in that case also. He demanded only that Preeti remain the natural mother of the Sarupi, and he does not demand any custody. There is no question grabbing the property of the daughter Sarupi.
Your Honor, and one rebuttal that I have for this is that first they are stating that there is no such provision under Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act and in any other namely law. First they are saying that there is no provision in the Juvenile Justice Act as per the fact sheet, and now they are saying that there is provision, and then they are saying that Preeti be declared as the natural mother. Your Honor, Preeti was never in love with her. She wanted to break off all the links. Why will the court or for that matter, why will Sundar allow that Sarupi be given to Preeti, or that she be remained as natural mother? A mother she has never performed her motherly duties. She did not demand any visitation rights during the custody fight. She wanted to break off all the links. Then what is the use of declaring her as the natural mother, Your Honor? Here, Rani has deep love and affection for Sarupi, and she wants to maintain that relationship with Sarupi. That is why she wants to get this declaration, and it is not on the garb of any property that Sarupi might have. Rani does not care about the property. She just cares about the child, and she wants to do what is right for the child, so that later on no one can object to her relationship with Sarupi.
Sir, I would like to rebut the argument presented by the learned counsel. Sir, in this case, we have not said that there is no provision under Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. There is a specific provision, and the parties should have used those provisions to get the child in adoption. Secondly, a child who is neglected by the parents can be easily pursued by anybody, for that matter Rani also, that is the stepmother of the child, and the court should not allow such a child to go into the care and protection of anybody who may be indifferent to the child. So it is a fit case. We are not saying that the child should not be given or taken in adoption by the Rani. It may be, but by a competent authority, where the competent authority supervises that there is nothing going behind the curtain. Sir, if the declaration is given, the legal sanctity will be attached to the adoption, and it will be against the welfare of the child and interest of the child that the child is given in adoption when the case has come before the court without looking into interest of the court. So it is very essential here that the court should take into consideration the peculiar situation and should direct some competent authority to look into the matter and not give declaration in such a case.
Okay, let me declare on my judgment. After hearing arguments of learned counsel for the parties and after going through the entire oral as well as documentary evidence, I am giving my findings as follows. Firstly, on the controversy, namely, can a biological father be also declared to be the adoptive father of his own child? In the present case, it has been established by the applicant through oral as well as documentary evidence that the adoption of the said child was made as per Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Registered adoption deed has also been exhibited on the file, to which presumption of truth is attached as per Section 16 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Not only that, the applicant has proved that giving and taking the child in adoption took place in a party consisting of 100 persons. As per Section 9 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, a wife is capable to give her son or daughter in adoption to anyone who is major and is of sound mind. Only condition on the wife is that she should give in adoption only with the consent of her husband, if he is alive. In the present case, adoption deed itself shows that consent of the husband has been taken by the wife at the time of giving in adoption. Moreover, husband gave evidence on oath and he gave his consent voluntarily. Similarly, the later wife in this case, namely Rani, is also capable to adopt the child, but with the consent of her husband. This adoption deed shows that Rani also taken the consent of her husband as per Section 8 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Thus, while writing adoption deed and while taking and giving the child in adoption, compliance of both Section 8 and 9 of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act has been meticulously made. There is no evidence from the opposite side to rebut these facts. Therefore, all the relevant facts have proved strictly as per the provisions of Indian Contract Act, Indian Evidence Act. Thus, the adoption ceremony is perfectly valid. The contentions of the learned counsel for Rajkumar that biological father cannot be declared to be the adoptive father of his own child is tenable, as Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act does not prohibit such an act. Learned counsel for Rajkumar has not brought to the notice to this court any law which prohibits such type of adoption. Hence, I hold that a biological father declared to be the adoptive father of his own child Now I come to the other controversy in this case, namely whether for such declaration a suit should have been filed or whether such application will serve the purpose. If so, what are the provisions and what are the provisions whereunder such declaration can be granted? I have heard arguments of both the learned counsels and I am of the opinion that as per section 7 of the Family Code 1984, Family Code is competent to decide all the civil suits relating to family disputes like legitimacy of children and marriage. But this section does not speak about adoption. Therefore, a suit relating to adoption is still triable by the civil court. Thus, in a case, a suit should have been filed by the applicant instead of filing this application. This application is disposed of with the direction to the applicant to approach the civil court for getting declaration by filing a civil suit. The court is urgent.